Hey guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Wanted to do a trade review because we had some very interesting price action today. I'm going to try to keep this brief, although I fail at that quite often. Those that follow me know that. So first, let's go through the disclaimer, then jump right into the good stuff. It was a very interesting day. I don't have it here. Maybe it's right here. There we go. Legal notices, important disclaimer and reminder for all traders and investors. This webinar is for educational purposes only and not a recommendation to buy or sell any particular financial instrument. Equities, futures, options, currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. You must be aware of the risks and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets. Absolutely do not trade with money you can't afford to lose. This website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell equities, futures, or options. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed on this channel. The past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. Absolutely consult your registered financial advisor and your risk trading plan before ever investing or trading any financial instrument. Guys, trading is not easy. Make sure you have a plan. I'm all about one thing: process, 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 and being able to identify the environment that you're trading in, right? So what I'm not trying to do is be the everything man and trade everything that the market presents, right? What I'm trying to do is keep control of myself and my trading decisions through the course of the day so that they're not random, they're repeatable, they're checkable. I can go back and look at what I did and did not take and make decisions as to whether I made a good decision and followed my trade plan, or if my trade plan needs adjusting, or if I simply did not follow my trade plan, right? But without a core plan, I cannot change what I am doing on a day-by-day basis. So first, let's just get what was weird about this day out of the gate. Notice the ES open here. I'm going to make this wide so everyone can see it. So what you would expect with this gap up, the first sign that something was weird was, look at the tick. The tick opened up, and we open up over here to positive 381. Now, normally on tick is what it's telling us is the number of issues that are ticking up on the broader market, the NYSE. Okay, and I compare that against what the S&P 500 is doing. So we gapped up. What you would expect is a large gap. So this is easy to check out, right? And why was it out of the normal? So if we go back and we look at prior gap ups. Let's remove the drawings here real quick. Right, first thing that we're going to see, we're going to crunch this down real quick. Wow, you just never can get it to operate the way you want it to. So notice, last time we had a gap up here. Look at the tick on the gap up. That's a strong gap, right? Pretty good size. Ended up closing up, trend day up. Tick opens up where? Positive 800. We look back a few days later, and we see another gap up, which was right over here. Look at the tick, positive 600. We see another gap up when we look back here a couple days earlier. Almost, in this particular case, almost positive 1,000, right? It's the subtle changes you see in the morning, right, that give you the clue, or actually any time during the day. Subtle little changes. And you have to have a clear mind to see it, right? I cultivate a clear mind by doing a lot of meditation, right? I keep copious notes on what the market has and hasn't done, and I'm quick to recognize when something's changed on the field of battle. So when I look at this morning's open, and the first thing I see is tick is positive 361, I'm like, something's wrong. So I go through my checklist, right? Normally, for a zero tick trade or a trade where I want to push to the upside, I want a tick to open up more than 800. Now, a weak tick on the open doesn't mean that we can't go up. It's just weird, right? Next, compare that to look what NQ did out of the gate. I mean, NQ was a banshee on fire. This is the definition of gap, open drive higher. You would think we're going to end up with some type of trend day up with this kind of open. The next thing that you would think is ES is going to follow. So notice, in this first hour, we're just driving up. There's no counter rotations. There's only one red bar. Notice in ES, nothing, right? There's nothing there. We consolidate. We couldn't fill the gap, but we're certainly not ripping, and we can't get above 2,400. This range here is over 30 points from prior day's close. This range here is like, it's 4 or 5 points, and we're just kind of staggering. We get up to 2,400, right? And here's where's the first real important clue. Notice that when we're pushing 2,400, look at the tick. It's anemic, right? See this? This tells you right here that the broader market is getting sold. Now I will tell you, I was looking for responsive buyers based on this first candle and based on this attempted failed push down on this doji here, and we got them. And we got those responsive buyers, and they pushed up into 2,400. And I said at 2,400, I said, this is weird, guys, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 minutes without an ability to break high when NQ looks like it's having just, it's a volcano. It's exploding to the upside, right? We should be pushing to new highs. We're trailing NQ significantly. So let's go through this. Clue number 1. Clue number 2, price action narrow range. We're not following what NQ is doing. Clue number 3, over 30 minutes with an inability to even tick above 2,400, right? That's a big deal. You certainly would have thought that we could come back and retest Globex, the Globex high tick from Sunday evening on the French elections at 2403.75. We couldn't even get close, right? I noted that when we were here and we were in the trading room, I said, guys, something's wrong here. The tick's all wrong. I don't know what, I did not say it was short, okay? What I said was something was wrong, and that I did not want to see us close behind the 50-60 over here. If we close behind the 50-60, change in character. And then look what happens on this bar. This bar closes behind the 50-60. This is really important real-time analysis when you're looking at the interplay between NQ, ES, and the NYSE tick. The reason why that was important is when the market is strong and this looks picture perfect, this does not close behind the 62 retrace. As a matter of fact, I can show you what the flip side of that looks like right over here. See this push right before we make the break to the downside? Okay, this push right here. See how we can't close behind the 62 retrace there? That right there is picture perfect. If you would have flipped that upside down, that is exactly what we were looking for on the long side to break 2,400 and go and test that 2403, 04, 05, and eventually 08 to 010, right? Never got there, right? So this is where I said, hey, something's definitely wrong here. At this point, we had a significant negative tick into this. As a matter of, it wasn't the low tick, right? But it didn't matter. See this tick? Well, I'll go into tick in the room, guys. I'm not going to cover it in the market, but this was a very big tell, right? A weaker tick, and we got a lower low. This should not have happened, and I knew immediately. So anyone who was long in the room should have taken their profits at this point, closed their trade out, right? I still did not call short. Why? NQ, so this is at 940, and NQ still simply hanging up here at 930. It hasn't even begun the process of rolling over. So understand, one of the things that I'm looking for when I'm trading the market, right, is I'm looking for NQ and ES normally line up. Now, for the last 2 weeks, they've been out of alignment. It's been making trading ES much more challenging, right? So I'm not calling a short. This is where, and you'll see in our notes right here, where we thought something was up. We get this rotation, we come down. This is our support resistance, is 23.95 to 23.94. It was Monday's volume point of control. You see we come tick right to it. I mean, just total perfection right there into the tick. And then we start this rotation back up, right? And into this rotation back up, if you look, pretty sure it's still there. Well, there we go. We wrote high tick of the day, but no new high. Rolled down, right? And that was our big clue right there, that weakness was in, that sellers were taking over. And this is the first time, by the way, I'll note that the break of the first hour low, the IB low, we have an impulse move in, and this 50-60 recovers. This is the first time I can remember in 3 weeks where that's been a picture perfect play out of what it looks like when we get a push back to mid after breaking the IB low. That trade has not been extremely profitable. It's been about a 50-50 trade. This is the first day it was really profitable, and it's set up beautifully. Look at this roll to the downside now. We come from 23.98 all the way down to where? 23.92. Now, I don't have a support resistance level at 23.92. All I had was Globex low. We shoot past Globex low. There's no trade here for me. We roll back up, right? And we do this slow consolidation. But then notice that when we get to the end of the day, right, we get another big tick push up. See this tick right here where we pushed up really hard? Look at the amount of effort that's put in by the broader market to push higher, and there's no response from ES. And the reason for that is if you look at your volume profile, which I haven't covered here, right? The volume profile either on the 24-hour is trying to get back to 23.86 to this 23.88 area right here, or if you look on the RTH or the regular trading hours, we're trying to get right into the top of this HVN, and you'll notice right where we come past this low volume node into the high volume area, and we get responsive buyers immediately. Notice the other characteristics that are sitting there, right? Because the market's finally trying to auction down, right? The other characteristics, we finally get a stretch from the high of 2400 down to 2390, right? That's a 10-point stretch. That's my magical location, right? I'm looking for 10-point stretches. We come within one tick of 2388.50, right? And we find responsive buyers and we push back up. I thought this was the most important piece of information on the day, but the drive higher on NQ with no responsiveness from ES, and then the inability to hold its 50-60 retrace. That's the first time we've seen a failure. You see that we consolidated sideways while everyone tried to figure out, and then a push lower. I want to go over one other thing. These setups, meaning this 10-point rotation, the reason why we do well in the room, okay, I think it's really important to understand this, is that we know what the patterns should look like when they're working perfectly, so that when we're getting deviations from what it looks like when they're working perfectly, we know very quickly either to pull the trade off the table for either a small profit or a smaller loss than what would otherwise be suffered if we just didn't recognize the change in character, right? But secondly, it gives you an opportunity to see, hey, this is a real change in character on this push up. It really set up for a very nice short to the downside. And again, you see the inability, we're making higher lows, lower highs and lower lows all the way through here, which set us up finally to get a 10-point rotation, which we haven't had in so many days, right guys? What this tells us is the character of the market is slowly, creepingly starting to change, right? And that is good news. If we can start getting both sides of the trade working, I've been avoiding shorts for the past 2 or 3 weeks because we've been driving so hard. I'm going to be constantly hunting this setup where we get a break of IB low, a push on a big tick back to the mid to look for rotation back and an extension back down. This trade is now back on our menu in looking for responsive sellers during the day, right? And then also we'll be very leery. If you see the tick sitting negative all morning long, start hunting for locations to get a push to the downside, for setups to give you a push to the downside. This is not normal. Anyways, I've gone past my 10 minutes. I really think NQ and ES are disconnected. NQ, I do want to just make a quick note here. If we look on the higher time frame, it's really had a huge run. If you look at it from the point of the breakout, here is the point of the breakout. It's had an enormous run. If NQ gets a little bit weak and we even make a retrace from the point of the break, right here, from the point of the gap, and we come back to the mid, right? You're talking about a move down to 5,600. It's only a 76-point move, but it could really roll ES to the downside. And when you look at what we've done on ES here from the day time frame using volume profile, right? Look at where we've closed today. This was the breakout point. And see how we attempted to close above that breakout point? Then on this day, right here, this is yesterday, Monday, we closed right above it, right? The market will often give the smallest of hints that there's a problem. I would not be surprised at all that now that we've closed back in, right here, there we go. Now that we've closed back in to the prior area of balance, it would not shock me to see us come back down and test the bottom point of balance which I would really say is right about that 2380 to 2375 extension, I would not be surprised to see us come down and retest this area. Now, obviously, if we get above 2400, all bets are off. The market can do whatever it likes. It's under no obligation to follow my rules. But I'm under an obligation to follow my process. I know what trades I'm looking for, which include 10-point rotations, 5-minute tick divergence, key setups, and then the actual reading of the price action in real time. So I'm obligated to follow my process, but the market is not obligated to follow what I think might happen. All I'm saying is this is a clue that we closed back into range. It would not surprise me to see us push back down towards that 2380 level. There's quite a few HVNs that have to be tested before that gets done, but if you look at the stretch, this is only 13 points and quite within our ability to get to within one regular trading session. Another thing to remember, what we're looking for. An expansion of range overnight indicates that we might have wider ranges in the day. You're going to want to abandon those 4 and 5 point rotations pretty quickly if we're trading a 10 or 15 point overnight range. I don't have evidence of that yet, but I'm looking for it, right? And then a constant grind and reminder that what we're looking for are pushes down with tick divergence, trapping sellers at the low, and then once we have them trapped, taking them back to the other end of the range. If you'd like to see what it's like to trade in a professional mentoring room, a professional trading room, and see how we set up our trades, how following a process day in, day out can keep you out of the boom-bust cycle, keep you focused from getting too high or too low, and just coming back at your trades daily, please come and visit us. If you'll send me an email to tradeandperform@gmail.com, I'll be happy to extend you a 5-day invitation, no charge to you, and you can get a peek at what it looks like to trade with a ES trading mentor, and also catch some of the stuff we do in CL as well. So at any rate, I hope everyone killed it today. The object is for everyone to make money. Remember, the market is engaged in psychological warfare against you to try to take your money. You have to have a plan and a process to take money from those who are committing psychological warfare against you in an effort to break you down, make you make trading errors. You can beat the system, but you have to have a plan to do it. Anyways, have a great night, guys. I will talk to you all tomorrow. This is Simon. Good night.